The longer we stay militarily involved in Iran, the more we can expect interest rates to creep up. How's it going, guys? I'm Christopher. I am the owner of Halcyon Real Estate. We are affiliated with the Keller Williams Market Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today is the 9th of March, 2026, and this is where you come in order to know exactly what Utah's housing market looks like, specifically the housing market of Salt Lake Valley. So like every week, I'm going to dive into the numbers that I pull off the MLS and just show you how things are moving across several vectors of data. And then I'll pull out and I'll tell you exactly what I think that means for both buyers and sellers here in the Salt Lake Valley. Let's dive right in. Here's where things are in the Salt Lake County housing market as of the 9th of March, 2026. Our current inventory here stands at 2,546. That is up from the previous week, and this has been trending up since the beginning of the year. The number of homes sold last week came to 199. Previous week, that was 202. So we're right there at 200 where it was last week. But look at the difference in what's gone under contract. Currently under contract here in Salt Lake County is 1,319 homes. That just shot up like crazy compared to the previous week, and it is certainly trending up. Last week's average list price came to $646,746. That has been on a moderate downtrend since the year started, and this is not in that direction. This is a significant jump up from the previous week, enough that we are trending up on average list price now. Last week, average sold price came to $635,350, making the difference between average list price and average sold price come to the difference in the buyer's favor still of $11,396 here in Salt Lake County. And last week's median sold price came to $532K. So always important to know there's a big jump difference between what's average and what's median, and median where more people are having experience that's significantly lower. Interest rates for a 30-year fixed rate conventional loan came up to 6.14%, up from last week, obviously. We expected this due to events in the Middle East. But frankly, it has already come down from a higher point that it came to last week of 6.17%. And the jump from last week's national average to today is only 0.15%, which is within a normal window of week over week change that we've seen. The last week's average days on market came to 67 here in Salt Lake County. So 67 days that a house is on the market before it accepts an offer and goes under contract. That is just 1 day difference up from the previous week, so not a lot of movement, and I do anticipate this trending down. Last week, the number of price reductions that we had in Salt Lake County on the homes that were on the market came to 281. That is up from the previous week. Also, inventory jumped up as we saw with our first number. So this again shows about 1/10 of the homes on the market dropping their asking prices last week. And last but not least, last week, the number of listing contracts that were either canceled, expired, or withdrawn came to 99. That's down from last week, which we expect because we expect it to jump up in every first of a month report. So it's down from last week. All right, so if you've been following these market updates that I give at all, and you know that home prices have been trending moderately down from the end of the fourth quarter of last year into first quarter of this year, and that is now in reversal. If we look at the last 4 weeks of average home price, whether we're looking at Utah on a larger scale or zooming in and seeing Utah, or not Utah, but Salt Lake Valley, that trend is now up. And we expected this, we saw this coming, but it's here. In fact, most vectors of data that I'm looking at now create upward pressure on average home price. Nope. In fact, most vectors of data that I'm looking at now are creating upward pressure on home prices here, with one important exception, and that is interest rates. But what demand is doing, the average days on market is doing, those are trending in directions that create more favorable conditions for home sellers right now. Now, if you're in the market to buy a home, I will tell you what I told you last week, and that is that if you're looking at a home and it's a great home and it's priced relatively conservative, don't be surprised if there's 5 offers on it and the winning bid is about 10K over asking price. Okay, so not wild. It's not like it was during the COVID era. We're not gonna have 50 offers on homes, and we're not gonna have 50K over asking price be a normal thing at all. But we will see how long interest rates go up. We can say they're trending up right now because they hit about 6.0 something, and then they were 5.99, and then the following Monday they were 5.99, another 6.14. So interest rates are trending up, but certainly still within the window of norm for what we see for week over week difference in interest rates. But we'll see how long we hang out in Iran. The longer we stay militarily involved in Iran, and the longer the Strait of Hormuz is controlled by anti-American interests, the more we can expect interest rates to creep up. And that would slow down home buying. And if you know you're in the market to buy anyway, then slowing down home buying isn't crushing you because it just crushes some of your competition, right? But if you're in the market because hitting 6% or barely below it was like your marker to jump in and buy a home, then you might be waiting a little bit of a while again. So that is it for this week, guys. Thanks for watching. If this is the kind of content that you want to keep your head wrapped around, if this data is important to you, can't do better in understanding Utah's market and specifically Salt Lake Valley's market, then hit that subscribe button and follow up on it with me from week to week. If you have any questions about the data or the way I presented it, hit me in the comments. I'm always going to be happy to respond. And if you are looking to move here to Utah, especially here in Salt Lake Valley, I am going to be happy to help. I hope you're happy and comfortable to reach out to me. There's a link in the description for you to hit if that's something you're interested in, and I'll be happy to hear from you. We'll see you in the next week, guys. Bye-bye, bye-bye.